What's going on, Colts Nation? Welcome back to another episode of Bring the Juice. Thank you guys for tuning in. This video comes after some talk about Jonathan Taylor after the last practice for the Colts mandatory minicamp comes out. Wanted to talk to you guys really quickly about this, but before I begin that, just want to say shout out to the guy that stopped me in the parking lot. I don't remember who it was. I forget his name. Never asked for his name, which it really sucks. But you probably know who you are. You say you watch the show. I appreciate it. Said you were in town from Indiana and you were here in town for a work thing, and you stopped me in a Walmart parking lot to say hi to me and say that you recognize me. Hey, I appreciate it, man. Thank you so much for tuning in. Greatly appreciate it. It made my whole day, made my whole week, really. So I greatly appreciate that, man. Thank you very much. But anyways, guys, let's get to the topic at hand here and the big question of, about Jonathan Taylor, because some contract talks started coming up today and people were asking him about it. And there's an article from Stephen Holder from ESPN. Make sure you guys go check out his article on there. But again, we've seen what's been happening recently. Dalvin Cook, who was with the Minnesota Vikings, right? We saw how, Dalvin Cook is one of the premier running backs in this league. And yet the Minnesota Vikings let him walk. Actually, no, they cut him instead of actually just giving him close to the amount of money that he wanted, right? And then, of course, we're hearing the things about, Saquon Barkley and those kinds of contract talks. And, it's no secret, guys, that we've been talking about it for the longest time. The value of the running back position is continuously getting worse and worse every single year as offenses evolve into a more pass-efficient game, right? It's not enough anymore to just run the football. It's not enough to do that anymore. Whether you like it or not, or whether or not you think Indy's going to be able to move on from it or not, that doesn't matter. Look around the league. It's just one of those things where teams don't need a great running back in this league in order to be successful, right? We've seen plenty of teams over the last several years make Super Bowls or make it really deep into the playoffs with having virtually no running back help or virtually no great running back help, right? So it is one of those situations where and we've been asking that same thing about Jonathan Taylor. Like, obviously, the team was ran through Jonathan Taylor in 2021, but how does the team feel about it now? Well, obviously, we saw what other teams around the league are doing with their running backs. The Panthers just last year, traded away Christian McCaffrey to the 49ers for, a good package because they didn't want to have to eventually pay him as well. So you look at it from that perspective, and he eventually said, he's looking at those situations going on, and contract negotiations are, definitely very interesting right now. He says that you definitely pay attention just so, okay, what type of space are you entering into? And you just hope from the track record here in Indianapolis that things are being evaluated the right way. Taylor says, I want to retire in Indianapolis Colts. And so that's not the issue here. Says he's had just recent contract talks with the Indianapolis Colts, and he's hopeful that he'll get an extension done before the season starts. So if we could potentially see Jonathan Taylor get his extension this offseason still, and that way he won't be able to test the market next year if he indeed wants to go somewhere. So clearly he says he wants to stay in Indianapolis, but he's also pointed out that he's kind of disappointed with or seen the disappointing developments with other running backs with all the reality of what's going on in the league. He just says, hopefully they can see the value, Taylor said to the Colts. So, we're going to have that question here to guys like, is, Jonathan Taylor going to get an extension for the Indianapolis Colts? Of course, we know Chris Ballard likes to give his guys, the money that they deserve, right? And even with the fact that the running back position is not what it used to be, Jonathan Taylor was a Chris Ballard guy, and Chris Ballard is oftentimes more rewarding to the players that he brings in personally. And then on top of it, I mean, even with everything, maybe Jonathan Taylor doesn't, break the bank and absolutely ask for the largest contract in the NFL. It might be a situation where I doubt that the Indianapolis Colts will sign Jonathan Taylor right now, because you saw what he did in 2021, yes, but you also just saw that the first time in his career ever, he had lingering injury problems. He's just coming off an ankle surgery that, is going to keep him out for the next couple weeks until training camp comes rolling around. So, how do the Colts look to handle this kind of situation? But obviously, the team has a lot to look into. I mean, you just kind of look at it. I mean, obviously, like I said, Dalvin Cook's gone. The Panthers traded away Christian McCaffrey. The New York Giants, who gave the tag to Barkley. Josh Jacobs, also a franchise tag recipient. So it's one of those situations where, Taylor said, you see why guys request trades, because they just don't get paid where they feel like they should be. They just want to feel valued by not only their coaches, their teammates, but the organization as well. So does Jonathan Taylor potentially feel, potentially betrayed or some way by the Indianapolis Colts? Because, I mean, the Colts are obviously in a rough situation because you want to be able to give Jonathan Taylor a good offer while also not breaking your own bank and being able to spend that money on maybe more premium positions, even with the fact that Jonathan Taylor, when healthy, is one of the top running backs in all of the NFL. But at the end of the day, it's going to be very concerning because you definitely don't want to see Jonathan Taylor, go to another team, right? We saw what happened with Christian McCaffrey and the 49ers when the 49ers got a hold of Christian McCaffrey and what he was able to do in their offensive system and how he was able to maximize Brock Purdy's ability really elevated that team from every level. And it's kind of in a situation, too, if you're the Indianapolis Colts right now. You don't want to lose out on a premium player like this just over, a few million. So obviously there's going to be a lot of things that needs to go on, but it'll be very interesting to see if the Indianapolis Colts reach an extension with Jonathan Taylor this offseason, or if we're going to see him test the waters next year at the in free agency. But let me know what you guys think. Do you guys think that the Colts should get this extension done right away at all costs, or should they hold off and wait to see how Jonathan Taylor responds this season? But that's going to do it for this one, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. And as always, go Colts.